Okay, so HummusTown was born in 2017. It was born in a household, in my house, together with the lady who is a Syrian lady who was helping me in the kitchen back then, not with my household, taking care of my children. And of course, the situation was, as we all know, it was drastic back by then. And the day I saw Jumana, who you'll meet up later, she's the main chef. She never ever cries or is always in a good mood. So that day she was not in a good mood and she was very upset. And that day her and I were like, you know what, we have to, we cannot stay crying and just, laying back doing nothing. So since she's an amazing cook, and we started having dinners in my house, we'd have people pay, I think back then it was like 30 euros for an open buffet, open bar, and it was fun. What we would do is, with that money, we'd pay our costs, and then whatever was left, we'd send to Syria. Back then, we had Jumana's cousin. She was a nurse and still is a nurse, and she would get the money and distribute it to the needy families. And she would send us photos while she did that. So it was like a proof of how people's money was spent back home. This then developed into a bit more because around 2018 we started being contacted by the Syrian influx which was arriving in Rome, and we started meeting these refugees for the first time. And that's when what we had, the business model, changed and evolved into what HummusTown today is. And it's a full-fledged catering, Syrian catering business, where we try to be the first stop, a pit stop for all these Syrians who come to Rome. But of course, it's not limited only to Rome, to Syrians. But we've helped people from Senegal, we've helped people from Palestine, Kenya. It was you never say no to whoever asks for help.
محمد أمين اليوسف، عمري 25 سنة، ولدان بالشام وساكن بالشام. تقريبا شي سنة وشهر غايب عن الشام. هلا بالنسبة لي أنا حسيت إنه كانت خطوة كتير حلوة، إنه من وقت ما أجيت على إيطاليا دغري التقيت بناس سوريين وساعدتهم واشتغلت معهم. حسيت إنه خطوة حلوة كتير يعني. هاي الشغلة لحالها بتكفي كانت بالنسبة.
هل برأيك مثلا مشروع مثل HummusTown مثل ما هو هلا ممكن يكون مكان انطلاقة حياة هون اجتماعيا، تتعرف على ناس من خلال المشروع؟
طبعا هذا الشيء أكيد 100%. يعني هو كان وسيلة كتير إنه تعرفنا على كتير أشخاص هون وخلانا نعرف طبيعة المجتمع هون وعرفنا على
Actually, why did we have like a catering? Why did the catering idea come up with? I think, as we all agree, food brings people together, whether it's, ethnic, even Italy. Italy has, from north to south, different kinds of dishes, and I think food, in the case of helping these refugees, has really helped both the recipient and them as the people who offered it. The recipient, the Roman population, I think, has come to learn of a very Mediterranean cuisine, but cooked differently. And so I think food per se has an incredible power to bring people to love each other more. So until March last year, I would like to think HummusTown was thriving. It was at its peak of its fame. All the refugees, we were back then 18 if I'm not mistaken. All 18 were working almost on a daily manner. And suddenly we stopped. Suddenly everything stopped. And the kids, the team was no longer able to leave their welcoming home. The welcoming centers were no longer allowed to leave it. So that left HummusTown with will we manage? One, we don't have the labor to do anything. But at one point, we decided, okay, why not focus on delivering? And honestly, from March until end of May, our delivery business went amazingly. In that occasion, in those 3 months, we had 5 people working, 3 cooks and 2 deliveries, and somebody to help in the kitchen as well, cleaning. So we were much less than what we were able to help because of the restrictions we all had to face. And I have to say, this allowed, and I would always tell people, oh, but you're only helping 5, so where is all the money going? Okay, the money is going into a pot, which will then allow HummusTown to stay alive, so that when this COVID or the quarantine is over, those Syrians who are not working will have something to go to. And it was something so obvious for me, whatever work we were trying or accomplishing in those quarantine or lockdown period was to ensure that at the end of it, we still existed. I mean, the costs never stopped. You still have to pay the rent, you still have to pay the utilities, you still have to pay the people who are still hired. So there were a lot of costs which had to be covered. Then we managed to put together some money to pay the debts we had accumulated. And then, so there was an opportunity during lockdown. Post-lockdown, it was much more of a challenge. It was end of September, last Sunday in September, and it was raining outside, and I received a call from an American high school here in Rome. And the guy had already tasted our food, so he's like, so Shaza, I just want to ask you, would you be interested to cater lunch and dinners to our students, for 20 students? I realized this is going to be the thing which saves HummusTown, and it did. The month of October, the month of November, half of November, because half of November schools closed and it all became remote. But for a month and a half, we secured a business opportunity. But we're hoping now in January, hoping that everything will go back to how it used to be. It changed my life totally. And I want to say for the best, despite its difficult moments, despite a lot of frustration, a lot of disappointments too. But I think today, 3 years down the line, I would say I would never give it up. Because it has created this part of my life which is no longer only part of me, it's part of my children, it's part of my husband, because it's got into our house, and it did. It's changed my character. It's changed the way I see the world. The materialism I used to be in, the trivial things I used to get angry with. Today, those are forgotten, because once you sit down and you hear the stories of these kids, you cannot go back to how you used to be. And for me, it's crucial when we talk about our kids, our team. It's a life. They have a life. They have a history. They have families. So it cannot not touch you. It's come with a lot of. The price to pay is high. I mean, whether it's the energy one puts in it, the sacrifice which I have to do at home, but it's all part of a big package which at the end of the day just makes me feel better.
Mi chiamo Giumana, sono siriana, io lavoro con HummusTown, sono cuoca, io lavoro quasi 3 anni, 4 anni. أنا قبل ما كنت بشتغل، يعني كنت ست بيت، وبعدين لما اشتغلت بحمص تاون اتغيرت حياتي وكتير مبسوطة بهذا الشغل، خاصة كمان انه عم نساعد اللاجئين مو بس اللاجئين، عم نساعد ناس تانيين، عم نساعدهم بانه يعني يبتدوا حياتهم من خلال حمص تاون كشغل بسيط، حتى يعني بعدين يشوفوا شغل احسن وبداية حلوة لهم بحمص تاون. وحتى انا كمان كتير مبسوطة بهذا الشغل، انه كليتنا صايرين عائلة وحدة ومنساعد بعض. كتير كتير يعني مبسوطة بهذا. نحن هون بمطبخ حمص تاون بنطبخ طبخ عربي، بنطبخ كل شيء عربي، بس اكيد متخصصين بالاكل السوري. ونحن هون بنطبخ كأني عم نطبخ ببيتنا، يعني بنشتغل نحن ستات، بنشتغل كليتنا مع بعض كأني عم نطبخ في بيتنا، كأني عم نطبخ لأولادنا. فعن جد كل اللي بياخد من عنا الأكل بحس بهذا الشيء، بحس إنه فيه روح حلوة عم تشتغل فيه.
Because HummusTown is not me. It's them cooking and introducing you to something you might not have been introduced to. But the idea of knowing that this will simply ensure the the possibility to help people. It's so easy to make somebody happy. And it's not because I'm making myself less happy. On the contrary, when I see somebody happy, when I see there's a fulfillment in somebody's life, and not anybody's life, somebody who's really suffered, somebody who's suffering today because his family is back home, suffering poverty today. Listen, there's nothing more rewarding than being helpful.